Hey, it's Eric G. Around the House is sponsored by Baldwin Hardware. For 75 years, Baldwin Hardware has been known for its first-class quality and craftsmanship in door and cabinetry hardware. As an alumnus of the Baldwin Hardware Design Council, I can say I have seen the details and quality from design to the finished product. If you're looking for a new style and old-world craftsmanship, I can tell you there is only one Baldwin Hardware. Check out what would look great in your home at baldwinhardware.com.
It's Around the House.
But it is something exciting for us. We've always been able to build. We've had contractors from day one taking our framing components and making custom pergolas.
Yep.
Well, we've launched now over the past couple months pergola kits. So a single SKU, everything you need for a 12 by 12 pergola. For example, we've got 3 different sizes. Pre-cut, pre-drilled. One SKU, you open it up. It's a, let's call it a 3 by 3 bundle. Everything you need to build that pergola right now. So,
Dude, that is amazing. And there's no thought to it. You're just going to follow the directions, put it together. It's made to go that way.
100%.
So as Jeff mentioned, like we've had contractors using steel framing to build pergolas for years, right? And so we call that kind of the limitless design options.
When it comes to remodeling and renovating your home, there is a lot to know, but we've got you covered. This is Around the House.
Welcome to Around the House Show. This is where we talk everything about your home every single week. Thanks for joining us today. We are having fun here at Design and Construction Week, International Building Show, Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, as well as the National Hardware Show. Let's see how much stuff we could pack into the Las Vegas Convention Center. I am down here at the Fortress Building Products booth. Let's get some introductions here, guys, so the listeners can know what the voices sound like. Go ahead, Jeff. Start it out, brother.
So thanks for having us. We're excited to be here. My name's Jeff Schultz. I'm the Vice President or Senior Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Fortress Building Products. Been with the company for 12 years, so it's been an amazing ride for us. And It's funny to say, down here for the week, it's going to take you a week just to go through all the different halls, because this is, I would say, from an excitement level, the most well-attended IBS show that I've seen probably in a decade.
Amen.
It has been packed, which is great for us. You think about some of the people talking about, the economy this year, this and that. Well, it is packed because people are looking for opportunities, are looking for innovative products, and so it's been awesome to see the crowds that are here. So
this is like the Super Bowl of construction.
100%. And even last year in Orlando,
it was decent. I had low expectations.
Is anybody here? But this year is by far the busiest I've seen in 10 years, easily.
Yeah, it's absolutely incredible.
Right.
And it's yesterday trying to get out of here was its own mess.
Right. Oh,
it
only took, we went to Caesars from here, and it took us, I think, 42 minutes to go 2.5 miles. It was great.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And my Uber ride was like $52 with surge pricing. So for me to go just over to the Palms, I was like, awesome, guys.
Yeah,
thank you, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay, next introduction.
Yeah, Tim Sandland. I'm the Director of Marketing for Fortress. Been here for just about 2 years.
Nice,
I've been in the industry with building products for 10 years. So love this show, love the people that attend it. And thanks for having us.
Cool. Let's talk about Fortress Building Products, because you guys have your hands in so many different things and quite frankly do it really well. But you're just not that one-trick pony either.
Right.
Yeah. So we talk about the total solution. When you look at your backyard, we're the total solution there. So we do steel deck framing.
Yes.
We do with that same material. You can do steel pergolas as well, and we'll get into the benefits of that.
Yeah.
We've got decking, fasteners, railing, fencing. Am I missing anything? Cladding. Yes, so decking that goes in cladding. And then, of course, lighting and accessories.
Yeah, see, it's like, guys, if you don't know who these guys are and you're thinking about building a project, doing a project, whether you're a homeowner or a contractor, these guys have a lot of solutions that we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, and what's great about it, too, is it's not only residential, so commercial. So we put a big emphasis on so many of our products being able to touch different segments of the industry. So whether it be, backyard home renovation, but that total outdoor solution for your backyard, I want to put in a deck, well, great. Here's the railing to match, here's the decking, here's the fasteners, here's the lighting, here's a pergola, here's a perimeter fence from that perspective. And then you get into commercial applications. We have products even used in the high security world from a fencing standpoint, like you might see around a data center for security. You guys in the Pacific Northwest, there's a couple big people up there that need lots of data centers, so think about that.
I got this little tiny company up the street called called Intel from my office, you know. So little guys, you know, they know a little bit about computers, but they got those things. Rings a bell, right?
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yeah. Same kind of thing, though, and that's what's cool. Let's dive into steel decking as far as the framing's part of that, because this, to me, makes so much sense. So many people get hurt by wood deck framing failing just because it wasn't either put together right or it got rotten. You guys have that solution, and the way wood prices have been, sometimes the lesser cost solution, because you don't have to have the Brinks truck to go buy the lumber.
Yeah, that definitely was a benefit, especially during COVID, right? Where people were seeing the cost difference between a steel frame and a wood frame be very close. But what we've seen even past then is the labor savings, but also just the peace of mind that comes with steel deck framing. So you're putting composite, PVC decking, alternative decking, that's 25, 50-year warranties, and then you're putting a wood frame underneath that is going to rot, and you know who knows how long, right?
Well,
you talk about old wood versus new wood, and just the change in that, and what people are seeing is like, why put all the investment on the top of the deck and ignore the underside of that deck, right? So with our steel framing, you're going to get a 25-year warranty with that. It's perfectly straight, right? Everything is the exact size. It's not like your lumber. And you get the benefit of the strength of steel and everything that comes with it.
That's crazy. And here's why, and I've had this conversation on this show before many a times. You know, oh great, my decking's got a 50-year warranty, cool, and you're putting pressure treated down it that might last 10 years. It's like taking a car and putting a 50-year warranty on a 100,000-mile paint job on a car that's got 200,000 miles on it that you're going to get maybe a few more years out of. Doesn't make any sense.
Right.
And it's so much easier to work with. You know, lumber. You know, all right, this one's twisted, this one's kind of this dimension.
And even the weight of lumber. People think, oh, steel's heavy, but when you start getting into those long spans and beams, things of that nature with wood, I mean, it is, the steel is actually going to be a lighter, easier product to install. So,
yeah, and it's so dimensionally stable. You know what it's going to do. You know where it's going to move.
Right.
Not where wood, it's like, oh, I got a hump now because this was twisting or something weird was going on. It's you set it and forget it.
Well, and what's also great for us, so, you know, when you think about the framing market, so, you know, our podcast here predominantly for North America, correct?
Sure,
you know, but you look really the global market outside of the U.S., so you see framing systems in Australia, Africa, South Africa, you'll see Europe, where the resources aren't as plentiful, so you don't have the wood, all the forests, if you will. So it's commonplace in those other markets. So now what's great for us is really seeing this rapid adoption in North America, people recognizing the benefits of steel framing. And, you know, we could talk about the rotting, the warping, the twisting, all that, but truly what's really driving it home for contractors is saying, I install this so much quicker. I've got 20-foot spans, so now I don't have the footers. I don't have all the labor that comes with, and says, let me put this deck in now with labor shortages we've experienced over the past couple of years, right?
Yeah.
I can do this so much quicker. We've got contractors, you know, the first question we always get is, you know, what's that cost compared to wood, right?
Right.
What's the first cost? And what we find, like we had a contractor do their own internal case study and said, our difference between steel and wood, it's cost us 2% more to do steel because the labor savings is so immense that it's the way we go. And we've got contractors that won't even, if someone wants wood, will walk from the job now. Why
would you do wood then? I mean, honestly,
it's great,
2%?
Great question.
I mean, that's okay. I'm going to go bring that up in the bar tab tonight. What that 2% of that is going to be. Let's be honest.
Right.
What else for the contract? I mean, they're looking at is they're not going to have those callbacks,
right?
Right. So there's a peace of mind from there that I'm going to install this and I'm not going to have to come back to this job. We've got contractors, as Jeff just mentioned, that they're changing the way they do business. So me being the marketing guy, they're looking at, you know, they may have 5-10 other contractors in their region, you know, a big city that all do TimberTech, Trex, some of the big Fortress decking, right? And so they're all doing composite PVC. Well, now they can differentiate themselves as saying, all right, well, we do all the high-end stuff, but now we do steel framing, and that's all we do. Right?
That's awesome.
So now they're setting themselves apart. And so it's definitely on that sense, like the contractors are really buying into that. And I'll tell a quick story. One of our core contractors, Philip Purdy, is out in Colorado. He only builds with steel framing.
Nice.
And one thing I love too is how he communicates to the homeowner, right? Because homeowners aren't only thinking really about the decking and the railing, right? They don't really think about what goes underneath.
Yeah.
So talk about how to sell steel framing. one thing he does is he'll go to someone's house, and he'll go underneath the deck and show the wood. And he'll show all the wood and say, look at everything rotting. See the rot here, see this? And by the way, you have steel on your deck. I'm like, what are you talking about? You see all the brackets, see all the nails?
Look how pretty they are.
Look how good they look.
Yeah.
That is what your entire frame is going to look like, except obviously our looks nicer because it's powder coated black.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
But it's going to last far more many years than your wood. So he goes and says, think of this steel, your wood's falling apart, your steel's not, your entire frame is going to be this. And it clicks with homeowners like, all right, I'm investing in something bigger than just steel framing. I'm lasting peace of mind that this deck is going to be standing for 25, 50 years and not have to worry about all the maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, we've got a lot of listeners here internationally in this show. Like, we're the top podcast in New Zealand, awesome. Ireland, South Korea. We've got a bunch of different stuff out there for you listeners. So a lot of you guys are shaking your head going, what are you still using wood for, you idiots? But it's seriously, I mean, why would you want to do that for that cost savings? Really, it's not 2% more because of the value you get. I mean, think about having to replace that deck 10 years later because it's rotten and you got these, I love the deck boards, they're perfect, but this framing's coming apart because of the rot, whether it's the moisture or the heat or whatever it's happening.
Well, so a couple things to look at, right? So we talk about that total fortress solution with all categories, but it's important to remember we recognize that there's contractors that have preferences around the globe. Our steel framing is designed to work with any deck board. It may be wood, it may be composite, it may be PVC. It doesn't necessarily have to be ours, and we recognize that and we respect it. That's how it was developed to be a component and a segment of the business that makes it safer, quicker to install from that perspective. But it is something that we're beyond excited about. We think of the opportunity in this category. It's just immense, and it's great. We look at we're selling this product in Europe. We're getting ready to launch this product. You said New Zealand, so we'll just say in the markets now, in Australasia, we'll be launching here in the next several weeks.
Stay tuned, guys.
Live news right now.
But so now we've got a brand presence with our products on 6 continents. 3 or 4 of them actually is now going to be framing, as this is really pushing globally as well outside of the U.S. and Canada.
It's great.
I think also, and Jeff can speak as we were talking about this morning, is we're talking a lot about residential homes on the steel deck framing, but we're seeing huge opportunities on the commercial side. WUI, it's Class A fire rating, rooftop
California.
decks.
Oh my gosh, all our California
look
people.
If you look behind you, I don't know if you can see, you'll see the Cal State Fire Marshal stickers on everything.
See, that's it. I mean, I've got plenty of friends that are down in SoCal that are down there, and they're like, okay, all right, I got to come up with something that's Class A fire rated, and then they get into the debate of how am I going to do this? It's crazy. So let's talk about that. I mean, you guys, of course, like we were talking about, you've got the total solution. If you're 40% of our audience is remodelers and builders out there and designers. So for these people, they can actually come in and grab something and have a total solution for that whole project.
Right.
But for the people out there, like you said, that, hey, this is my angle, I always use these guys, you guys also have the decking, you've also got the railing and stuff, which is another key part of this whole system.
Right. Exactly. So while we've got that solution, we understand there's preferences. We respect that, right? There's industry leaders that have been here for years, and there's people aligned. We get that. We see our products being able to play a role in virtually any build, whether it's the entire build or a component of that build, and that's what's exciting. And we look at the other things that we don't spend enough time really talking about is, Tim talked about how do we help contractors, right? How do we help them really differentiate themselves? And so it is that framing, think about it. Am I doing a disservice to my customer because I'm only going to talk about a composite or a PVC board, but I don't want to talk about the frame because I'm worried they're going to say it's too expensive? I would go back and say, well, it's not, A, but B, if you've worked with a homeowner and you've got them converted from wood to a composite or PVC, you've done the hard work, right? That's the biggest upcharge in a decade is going to this board.
That's it.
Now you're basically saying, I am recommending this to you as a homeowner, and they're looking at you as a trusted source to say, hey, if you want wood, I could do it, but let me tell you why you want steel for a couple % more. Here is.
And here's the thing too. For me, if I'm building a wood deck, and I've learned this from friends of mine in the deck industry, the best practices for me, at least out on the West Coast, is they're taping that whole top surface to try to keep the water off the wood.
Right.
Well, you got a day of taping in there, getting that done right, rolled out right, everything else.
Right.
you're just set and forget. There is none of that extra waterproofing that you guys have to do just to try to make an extra life out of that whole thing.
Right. Well, and it has, with our product to that point, I mean, it's a G60 galvanization, and it has an architectural grade powder coat. You know, and I know we're talking about the framing here, but it ties into our other products. So you look at our railing, for example. So we use what we call a black sand finish. So that same black sand finish matches the railing to the framing. And one small part, another thing from a labor standpoint is I don't need to put fascia on anymore, because consumers are looking at this and saying, wow, it's an aesthetic. It's actually a design aesthetic. I want to see the frame, and look, it matches the railing. So it's a small design aspect for that build as well.
And it's huge because now you've got steel there, which is as durable as it's going to be. Right. You don't have those weird transitions of how am I going to wrap my composite around to the face and make this look right, which is also another challenge. You can just let it be, put the railing on, it matches, everybody's happy. It looks like it was meant to be that way because it was.
Right.
And you're not trying to hide the ugly stuff down below.
It's true. Yeah, and as we've grown this product line, we continue to expand and enhance this product. So we look at, right now we've got here today, we've launched our new 5.5-inch square posts and new 8-inch square nominal posts that go with the system. And you can take that 5.5-inch now up to 20 foot in length. So you want to do a 2-story deck, you want to add a roof. Guess what? We've got that solution now. Where in the past, as we launched that product, hey, we're coming. Well, we're there now, and it's just another aspect that allows a builder to differentiate themselves.
I hate doing 2-story decks out of wood because that 4x4 that's max 16 feet up there, that thing wants to get into its own shape. I'm like, this thing's going to look like a candy cane when I'm done with it, right?
It wasn't supposed to go, it wasn't a spiral.
Right? It's just, and you look at it and something's moving. Right. That's why steel makes so much more sense because, again, and that 20 foot is a huge deal.
Right. For sure.
That's awesome. Let's talk about lighting. Let's skip ahead a little bit because to me, that is the jewelry on a deck, right? You can get everything perfect. You got the most beautiful handrails, the decking's done. That lighting to me is probably one of the most important aesthetic things and safety things you can do on that deck. That's the thing when your friends come over at night and you got the barbecue going, they go, what is going on out here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's the accessory item that sometimes gets overlooked at times, right? But it's the piece that when you build that deck, you're going to notice it the most. Right? From a safety perspective, when you're sitting out at night, my parents actually put a Fortress deck rail and light on their house. And every time we go there at night, I'm like, I need this on my house. Like, just the lighting. But it is a piece, and from a contractor or dealer, it's an opportunity to add that shared wallet to the job, but not just because of the extra cost. It's just that it's going to give the overall experience of that outdoor experience.
That's what takes it from that kind of entry-level deck into that luxury by just adding lighting.
It is, and with the different types of lighting, whether it be post cab, whether it be down lighting, whether it be on your stairs, from a code perspective, a safety perspective, it's there. And really, when you look at much of the, many of the listeners of this podcast from a contractor perspective, we would encourage you, every single job you should be trying to sell or pitching, adding lighting for that aspect. From a business perspective, why not make some extra gross margin? Why not make some extra install dollars on that deck? Every single deck, you should be pitching lighting for the enhancement of not only your pocketbook, but the enhancement of the ambiance for the consumer.
That consumer is going to look at that for years. And today with technology, this isn't like 10 years ago with lighting where it was kind of new and there were issues and things like that. These days, oh my gosh, the lighting you can do and the places you can do lighting is stunning.
I think there are, sometimes you'll run in, contractors that sometimes like, I don't know if I want to pitch this. Am I going to scare the homeowner? We encourage people to look at it from the opposite perspective. If I'm a homeowner and I've put $30,000 into a deck and I knew that afterwards for $35,000 I could have had steel framing and I could have had lighting and you didn't pitch that to me, I'm actually going to be a little disappointed and say, geez, for 10, 12% more, I could have had lighting and steel framing. Why didn't you pitch it to me? Because you were afraid I would say no?
Yeah.
You did me a disservice.
I already said yes. So why don't we just spend a little more and do it right?
Exactly.
So that way, 10 years, you're not out here going, hey, we're going to tear down that work I did.
Right.
But the deck had a 50-year warranty. Well, yeah, that top pretty side did. The rest of it, not so much, right?
Yep.
That's great. And by the way, those big posts, talk about make a statement. I mean, there's function there too.
Right.
But for big spans, but they just give that seriousness to it, and I like that big, when you're building a deck, I like having those big posts personally, because it just gives that mass. It makes it have that foundational view to it. And of course, for code reasons and structural reasons, it's there as well. Right. But I do like that.
It makes a statement.
Yeah, it's also been the number one request from our contractors out there with steel framing are those larger posts, and where they're available, they're coming out, and that's one thing that we strive to work on is to continue listening to our builders and our contractors, right? Steel framing for the last couple of years has really taken off, right? You're seeing competitors get into this alternative framing opportunity, right? They're seeing we own the deck, we own the rail, everything above, and now all of a sudden there's an opportunity underneath the deck in that frame, and so we want to stay ahead of that. So we've got builders and contractors who are giving us feedback. They're building our steel framing decks every day. Yeah. Right. And they're saying, these are the type of jobs I'm doing, and this is what I need. If I'm transitioning from wood to steel, I have to have this, and this. Right. We need to solve this problem. And our team, our innovation team, our product team has done a great job of taking that feedback, figuring out solutions, and not only solutions for them, but also meet the code requirements that's
always moving.
We expect that you're going to get from Fortress, right? So there's a whole other innovation aspect to that to make sure you're hitting that and above and beyond what we want to hit. Yeah. And that takes some time, but you see that relationship with these contractors, especially the ones that are forward-thinking, right, and moving into these alternative framing, it's really changing the way the industry builds decks.
Exactly. So, let's step aside here and talk these pergolas. Those are gorgeous as well, and again, not made of wood.
Yeah. It's literally same components you take in steel framing now. Instead of using it as underneath, now you're looking at it overhead. So we've got great opportunities with pergolas. We've seen that market continue to grow, just like with COVID. The entire outdoor space, pergolas have been strong in many markets throughout North America, but globally for years. Yeah. But we've seen, just like all of outdoors, accelerate during the past 3 years. But you look at that, when we take pergolas, take that same material that you're making with framing, it now allows you to even enhance that build and say, I talked earlier, I said, well, you've got framing in black sand, now you've got the railing to match it. Well, guess what? Now you can integrate a pergola. Is it an arbor over a kitchen, an outdoor kitchen, or is it a standalone pergola elsewhere? And we're really driving with some new innovations, some new pieces to really make them stand out as well. But it is something exciting for us. We've always been able to build, and we've had contractors from day one taking our framing components and making custom pergolas. Yep. Well, we've launched now over the past couple months pergola kits, so a single SKU, everything you need for a 12 by 12 pergola, for example. And we've got 3 different sizes. Pre-cut, pre-drilled. One SKU, you open it up, it's let's call it a 3 by 3 bundle. Everything you need to build that pergola right now. So,
dude, that is amazing. And there's no thought to it. You're just going to follow the directions, put it together. It's made to go that way.
100%.
So as Jeff mentioned, we've had contractors using steel framing to build pergolas for years, right? And so we call that kind of the limitless design options. And a lot of what we're showing today is a lot of new parts and pieces, right? If you want that modern pergola, right? You want a more traditional pergola, now we've got these other pieces to help them build whatever they want. Yeah. Or you've got the homeowner, or maybe that DIYer that's like, well, I just want a 12 by 12 or a 8 by 10. Great. We've got 3 sizes of kits that we offer. They're pre-cut, and now we can offer those to homeowners, to contractors who want to put up a quick pergola, but you still get the quality of the Evolution system.
And there's nothing much more DIY friendly for someone to put that together, right? I mean, it's no different than going to that Swedish box store and putting things together. Right. You just have to assemble it. You're not getting the saw out. You're not getting the stuff out.
Exactly.
I'm not allowed to touch those type of tools. I can build a...
See? There you go.
Put a drill in my hand and something's going to happen. I can put together a pergola.
See, there you go. But that's what's smart about that. There's all these people out there, hey, I can afford to put the pergola kit in, but I can't pay the contractor to do it. There's still a solution for them.
Right. And you look at, really, when you start looking at pergolas, you start getting into 8 by 8, 10 by 10 cedar posts. So from a cost perspective, the steel, we can actually see steel pergolas installed at a lower cost than certain species of wood. So it's not all about cost. It's about that ease of installation. It's about that ongoing maintenance that says, man, I'm looking at this pergola. It looks great. I stained it. oh wait, it's a year later, I've got to stain it again. And we're saying, guess what? You don't.
Yeah, and what's worse though is if you've got those beautiful vines because you're trying to grow something across the top, you got it painted, you've stained it, they've grown, everything's good.
Right.
And now you're like, how am I going to do this with plants on it? I can't finish this now.
Yeah.
And then you got a hot mess.
Right, 100%.
And so that's where that really pays off because you can just, again, like we talked about, set it and forget it. And you've got multiple styles there too. You can kind of lean this into traditional. It's not just people go, oh, steel, contemporary.
Right.
That's not always the case.
Multi-material, right? Different types of material. We're showing off some cedar kind of cladding, and we got these new cladding clips that are low profile that allow you to attach different type of boards and give you that more modern,
almost Japanese feel to
like
it, right?
Mixed material look, whether it be on the side or even on the top of the pergola. And we're seeing, I was in Austin, Texas, visiting a build, and it was a homeowner doing it. And he did a mixed material, and it looks incredible. Yeah. So it opens up a lot of opportunities there from a design perspective.
Sometimes you're in a tight space. Many homes out there, new developments where, there's 8-10 feet between the house.
Right.
You want to put the pergola up, but you're like, hey, I'm tired of Mrs. Smith next door watching me every time I'm out there on the barbecue. I want to kind of shield it a little bit.
Yeah. Tim usually says he'd rather you watch him in the shower, so I get exactly what you're saying.
We live in a new house, and we have no shades right now. So like our neighbors are texting me all the time, being like, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" And I'm like, "Yeah, we need to get those shades."
Yeah, I know. It's I got the same issue downstairs. We don't have shades on it either because I'm out in the woods. But I feel bad for my neighbors who have to drive down the flag lot behind me sometimes. I'm like, oh, sorry, guys. That's awesome. So what else do you have here at the show that you guys are premiering as far as new stuff? Let's talk new stuff here for a minute and talk about that because that's what people come here for, right? They're looking for that new stuff.
So, we touched on quite a few on the Evolution framing pergolas. I would say FE26, which is our steel railing line. We've got a new infill option called Access. It's a horizontal steel railing. Ooh. So a very modern look, right? That's very on trend right now. You're seeing it. You go online and look for modern rail, like you're starting to see this more custom made. Yeah. Well, now we offer it in our FE26 line. So it's a panelized system. Right, so much quicker install, and you'll talk a little bit more about that from a sales perspective. But it's taken off. Like people are seeing this and being like, "This is amazing." And a lot of the times when you get those horizontal steel railings, it's a more custom look, right? So you're looking at a lot of labor, a lot of cost. Right. Well, now we've simplified that process, but still giving you the fantastic modern look.
It seemed forever you had two choices, right? You had glass or cable,
right?
Or you had something that was kind of a more traditional look, and that was kind of the three boxes you checked. But that look is so contemporary, so just custom built, like you said. Right. It's a brilliant way.
When it applies to not only residential but commercial. But we look at one of the things that we're excited about too with this infill option, just like our standard FE26, is we've got posts with pre-attached brackets. So talking about when we talk about, hey, here's the benefits too. It may be different for a homeowner than it is from a contractor, but from an install standpoint, how do we take, and we appreciate custom fabricators, beautiful work, right?
Yeah.
But what we can do is we can mass produce something with a automotive quality finish. And we can help you with speed of installation. And so a post with pre-attached brackets, now it's not getting out there doing measurements to say where my brackets go. I set my post, hang my panels, and I save 4 to 5 hours on an install because my brackets are already pre-attached.
And then because this is metal, the worst part of it is that if you didn't have those, the contractor that goes, man, I was just thinking about going to lunch and I need 2 more posts because I drilled that one wrong, right?
Exactly.
Because they're like, oh, what was I thinking,
I was talking to a contractor about a month ago, and majority of their work is custom fabrication. Yeah. Right, so high-end, everything custom fabrication. The only railing they offer outside of that is Fortress. And the reason why is FE26, because they'll go to their homeowners, and if their price range is not up to a custom fabrication, they go to Fortress and say, you're going to get the same look, the same quality of a custom fabrication, but yet the labor savings, with what Jeff just saw, pre-attached brackets, the panelized system, your cost is going to drop to this. And it's the only railing that they'll sell, and it's why they're so committed to Fortress. But they compare it on par to a custom fabrication, and you're just saving on all the labor costs, and homeowners are jumping at it all day long.
Well, that's where it makes sense for the homeowner, right? You're saving labor, so now you're bringing something more into budget for whether you're a DIY or homeowner, whatever you're doing. Right. Now it's sliding more into their budget because, quite frankly, if somebody's out there building for you and you're saving time, Yeah, that's money.
Well, and so we I think a lot of times we default to talking about railing, but the same thing applies with our fence products. So we have, a completely assembled product versus a fabricator, which again, beautiful work. And working with fabricators, we'll often talk about, hey, make that grand entryway. Put your signature on it. Make it beautiful. But when you're running a straight line, when you're doing the backyard, you're doing the perimeter, use that pre-assembled panel to cut down on the labor, cut down on the install time from that perspective. And, you look at it from a coating perspective. We talked about that earlier as well. Why does that matter? So it matters because we have an e-coat and an architectural grade powder coat on our steel product. So if you look at that is, I talk about an automotive finish. That's where that comes from. So the e-coating systems really were developed with the automotive industry back in the 70s. If anybody lives in the north, think about the salt on the roadways, the cars, car guy, rusting out from that perspective.
Man.
And so that's why e-coat was developed. And really taking that and applying it to our steel railings gives people and our fence peace of mind and saying, well, it is different than, again, no knock on a fabricator. A fabricator may do something beautiful and put it in a powder coat line, but that's a different process than adding e-coat in different layers, a 7 to 11 layer coating that we're putting on our products.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right. There's no even the custom guys, and again, nothing against those guys. That finish just isn't what you're putting on there, period.
Right. And so it, regionally, right, people have material preferences.
Sure.
In products, well, oftentimes people say, the Northeast, for example, steel, I don't like steel, it rusts. Well, guess what? 30 years ago, when somebody welds on site and uses a can of spray paint, guess what? It's going to rust.
100%.
But when you mass manufacture in a controlled environment, a factory that has e-coat, architecture grade, all of this, guess what? It's not going to.
Yeah, and that's and even worse, the guy with the spray can, right? I've seen that 100 times. I get a beautiful steel staircase that's being built in place. They're welding in place. Yeah. It's all done, and the guy's in there going with an airbrush. And I'm like, well, there goes that finish.
Right.
I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
And that's what the client's paid for. But one thing I like to say is, for that reason, custom is not always better. Right. Custom is a process of building and not a grade of material. Right. Custom means, hey, I got to come up with a solution that no one's making, and I'm forced to go custom, or I want it built my way. But that doesn't mean it's better than everything else that's manufactured.
It means you're talented. It means you've got skill, and more power to you. I mean, we look at some of the products that are out there, projects, like, my goodness, I mean, that is beautiful. A craftsman, an artisan. It truly is craftsmanship and artisan. But to your point, it's a way of building. It's not the material itself, right?
Exactly. We can't not talk about decking products. Right. We've talked about all this beautiful metal, right? Let's talk about the piece that most homeowners look at and go, I want my deck to look like this.
Right.
And that's that hyper focus. They hold the sample up and go, build this.
Right.
It's the part that we see, but it's the part that's really important as well. You got to put something quality down there. I mean, I remember, funny story, my mom, 15 years ago, my mom and dad's house in Eastern Washington, they put one of the first, and let's say it starts with a T. We'll just let that product go. And it was a fencing product.
Is it like a dinosaur?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And the problem was, this was first gen, and we probably should have just fought it back then. But it looks like in the sun that fence was made out of silly putty. It's worse than wood. Right. But it was that first generation material.
So it's the fencing product?
It's that old fencing product that went out for a little bit, and they went, wow, this is a bad idea.
Right.
We tried to do something that was long term, and it was like, oh yeah, that's not working. Right. Not capped, not, just all the, it's the particle plastic board, it looks like.
So it's funny, that's actually how... that's basically what led me to Fortress. Prior to Fortress, I worked in the composites industry for a composite fence manufacturer, and we'll just say I know what you're talking about because it was identified and capitalized upon quite a bit. But it is technology, and it's not taking away from them, right?
No,
because
not at all.
Technology has evolved. I mean, you talk about Intel. I mean, look, every 4 years, their processor speed double or something. I don't know what the exact calculation is.
Look at this iPhone that Apple keeps getting me every 2 years
with. Technology than going to the moon, right? Is what they say in the space shuttle. So, just from that perspective, everyone goes through, can go through different learning curves as they grow their products.
Every product does that.
Exactly. So
every product.
But yeah, so it's interesting you start with fence because we also offer a full line of composite fence products. So we have a product called Oasis, which is a stick-built product. So if you're used to building a wood stick-built fence, whether it be a side-by-side, board-on-board, using the same nail gun, everything you're doing, you install our product from that perspective. We also have our Evolver, which is a horizontal product as well.
That is sexy to me.
It is.
I'm sorry.
Are you talking about me or the Evolver?
Well, you got a good beard, man. I got to say, car guy and a beard, you got it going. So.
Yeah, no, that Evolver has been great for us. It's got an octagonal post, so a little design aspect to it as well. So it's really been very good for us. But that Oasis, not only does that Oasis work as a standalone stick-built fence, we have a product called Estate, which is a hybrid of ornamental iron and privacy. So it is an ornamental product in which you can add wood or you can add our Oasis pickets to give a high-end privacy look. Many people will use that even for screening. So whether it be residential or commercial, it says, hey, I've got ornamental around my perimeter fence, but I want to screen or hide my ACs, my pool pumps, something along those lines.
My hot tub, right?
Yeah, my hot tub, right? So and now it's just an accent piece or some accent panels that match with the overall ornamental look, but with the longevity of composite as well. And we do one last thing just to throw in is that Estate we've actually made. We talked about the pergola kits.
Yeah.
We now offer an Estate enclosure kit for single and double dumpsters. One SKU.
Oh my gosh.
Everything you need to put in a single dumpster or double dumpster, including bollards, everything you need to build that. And that's important for us to really get that out there because there's so many times contractors, architects, builders are like, what is the solution I have? I guess I can do masonry, I guess I can do this. Other than that, I don't know what to do. So here's a solution served on a platter.
See, that might be a DIY project for me because my house, I mean, I look at the street, it's a fairly busy street, but I got my 2-yard bins.
Yeah. I
got the trash bin, the recycle bin, and the glass bin.
Yeah.
And the glass bin's the one I'm trying to hide because I don't want to see how many bottles are in that glass bin every week. That's when the neighbors start to judge and go, are you just putting that? You were busy last week.
But
one of those
in
weeks.
your defense, there's some good breweries up in your neck of the woods.
Absolutely. But you know what I mean? It's nice to be able to hide that stuff and get it from the side of the garage, even from a homeowner perspective. Let's take out the light commercial or whatever, but even from the homeowner's perspective, to be able to put that stuff away and hide it, and so you're not. One of the TVs, I think it's a commercial out there where they're making fun of the new homeowner washing his trash cans. No, put them in an enclosure. You're not out there making them look good. They're not meant there.
And it is, so, the residential, but the commercial, again, talking about that commercial, but people looking for solutions. So instead of an architect saying, I need to find, or a general contractor or a property owner, I need to now go find a manufacturer for decking. I need to find a manufacturer for railing, a manufacturer for this, and this, a pergola. We come in and say, here, we're your single source. Everything you need. Here's your cladding. Here's your decking. Here's your steel framing. Here's a garbage dumpster enclosure. Here's pergolas. So we're working on multiple multifamily projects right now where it's, here's your garbage dumpsters. Here are your, here's the railing. Here, from that perspective, we're trying to make it simple, all-encompassing for the homeowner and the commercial project.
Well, let's talk commercial for just a second. I mean, I can't tell you how many times, I'm in the Portland, Oregon area, so we get rain in that wintertime that just destroys stuff. And I go by the multifamily apartments that have the outside decks, and every 10 years, they've got scaffolding up, they're ripping out all that wood that's coming out of the side, and I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Right.
That should be steel. And they're going to get decades out of that compared to, because no offense, apartment people, it's not always taken care of the best out there. It's not being maintained a lot of times. Some people, they have that outdoor patio and that door gets open when they inspect it and it doesn't go back out until they're done. But again, that commercial stuff makes a lot of sense just on the durability standpoint.
It is. So, and Tim, sorry, I feel like I'm talking a lot here. Even from a commercial perspective, to your point, we get that there's different types of builders, right? There's somebody who wants to build and turn that project, or a builder that wants to hold it. And if you're a builder that truly wants to hold properties, you need to be thinking about the amortization, thinking about that life, that longevity. So why would I put in wood decking when I've got composite? Why would I put in, why am I going to have a fabricator? Because right now today, maybe it's a couple % less to have a fabricator come out and weld my fence or my railing on site and then paint it. Well, guess what's going to happen in 3 years? You're going to have them back repainting that versus let's put in this system that's engineered and manufactured for long length of install.
Yeah, exactly. Just set it and forget it. Yeah. And it's the conversation we have. I'll do a lot of shows. We do 1 or 2 a year for people that are, wanting multifamily stuff. Maybe they're buying as an income property, maybe a duplex or a quadplex or something like that. Again, those are the things where you need to spend that money. It's not more. You're actually spending the right amount of money, and long term, it's a thoughtless math to figure that out where it comes back at you.
And even with single family builders, you look at a housing subdivision, right? So somebody drives up to the housing subdivision. If they see it takes you 3 or 4 years to build that subdivision, I'm just going to put wood fence around this subdivision. By year 2, that homeowner or that potential homeowner is driving up there. It's like, ooh, do they even take care of things? It's gray. It's not.
Yeah.
So it's that perception as well, and it's great for contractors to know about the commercial aspect of Fortress, even if they're residential, because it's that peace of mind to a homeowner that says, look, we're putting this in residential, but we're even doing so much commercial. Imagine the touch, the feel, the longevity for commercial is now applying to your residential project.
Absolutely. And I think, like, for instance, you've got those composite panels. Those can be great fencing as well, especially if you've got road noise and things like that. There's some properties there that do help.
Yes.
Send it over to the neighbors. Sorry, neighbors, but at least it's, you can actually bounce the sound a little bit with that stuff too. It's not like it's concrete, but there's enough mass to it. I've noticed that it can make a noticeable difference on noise.
Yeah. Well, you asked about decking. Tim, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about our decking solution, our cladding solution. From that
let's get into
so
that.
We offer two types of decking, right? Composite and a PVC decking.
Yeah.
I'll talk specifically more about our PVC, which is our Apex line of decking.
Yeah.
That's actually the decking my parents put on it. I love it. It's one of the more natural looking deckings out there. The feel of it is incredible. So it's capped twice, right? And they actually tear off as they hand scrape at the top layer of that cap. It gives a much deeper texture than most of the other PVC
the other one, they have that
there.
kind of just light embossed, and you look at it and go, well, there's no depth to it, but okay, I see what you're trying to do.
And you can feel it. Like you walk around on the deck, and I think I was talking to Bill, who's he's been in the decking industry for years, and he was saying yesterday that they've done testing in Europe on like slip resistance, and our Apex decking is very similar to putting like
hey, thanks, IQ Tools.
Our booth location.
That's all good. Ambiance.
It's very similar to putting that black material down on stairs for slip resistance, and it just comes natural with the way that decking is manufactured. So with our decking, you can also use it for cladding.
Yeah.
Cladding applications.
That is so huge right now with cladding.
Yeah.
Put in that accent stuff. You've got the black or charcoal house, and you put the light cladding with the horizontal texture or something on it. It's huge in the contemporary, and of course commercial has been doing it for years. Yeah, it's great. Well, one thing too, and I want to touch on this because it's something that we have out on the West Coast, especially on the coastal areas that get a lot of rain, for instance, and I'm sure you see it in other parts of the country as well, but specifically for us, when we get through those winter months of rain after rain after rain, everything has this like slippery, mossy haze to it, and without that texture on a deck, when it's those ones that have that really light texture, you walk out on it after it being out there before you've had a chance to clean it. It's like an ice skating rink, and that texture makes a huge difference on slip resistance coming from into that springtime, or when you're going outside, hey, I'm just going to go out to the hot tub because it's snowing out here, I'm going to enjoy it.
Right.
That texture can make a huge difference in that.
Yeah.
So you talked about safety earlier with lighting, right?
Yeah.
So it's an opportunity on the safety side as well with that slip resistance.
Yeah, that's key.
Yeah, so that is then R13, which is the European floor slip resistance.
Yeah.
And so you think about not only that, but as we continue to see like aging and the certified aging in place with all these different things, right? So we've got this aging these generations that it's an opportunity for them. Hey, I want something that I'm not going to slip on. Like, I don't know if I share this or not, but I slipped the first time in my life today. I slipped in the bathtub and I caught myself.
Oh.
And it's like, but I think about, from a deck perspective, exterior, where you've got moisture, you've got rain, you've got all these different things. So having that R13 slip rating is great for even that anyone, but certified aging in place, where you start thinking, I'm not saying it's a certified, but you know what I'm saying.
It's
think
smart.
about that as we're building homes now from that perspective, thinking about using that as an aspect for someone who might be aging, right?
Well, and right now, multi-generational housing is huge.
Right.
We all know that. We've been talking about it for a while, especially with everything from the younger people that can't find affordable housing to your grandparents. Right. You're like, well, hey, they're going to fight me if they go into the retirement village right now. There's no way, but they're going to be hanging out with us for a few years, And so you're trying to find that happy medium, and you get that. You get something that's beautiful and safe, which is kind of the win for everybody.
Right. Yeah, and so the grain pattern too. So, and Tim touched on this a little bit, but we're obviously going to be a little biased, but having come from my background in composites before coming to Fortress, I will tell you that grain pattern truly is the most realistic wood look that I have seen on a non-wood board. It truly is made. That apex decking is great.
Yeah, the pictures you can't capture it in the graphics with any kind of camera, but when you feel it, you can definitely see this is a different made product than everybody else is doing. So what have we not touched on today, guys?
We talked about Tim wanting to shower for his neighbors. So we've got that.
We talked about you falling in the bathtub almost. Good save. Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think I don't even expand on maybe some of the other railing, Tim. So it's not just steel railing. Whether it be cable, whether it be aluminum, whether it be glass, having that total solution of railing as well from residential. And I keep touching on that commercial, but you look at our FE26 Plus, for example, is rated to unlimited height. So if you had a 200-story building,
fine.
I'm not seeing many, but you get a 200-story building, it meets code to be on that 200-story. And it's important, so much goes into code compliance and code testing. That's something else for contractors and for homeowners to be concerned about that says, hey, these products meet code. What if I put in this product? Oh, maybe it costs a little bit less, and then 2 weeks later, it's like, oh, it's red tagged. You can't use it because it doesn't meet code. So we spend a lot of time and focus on code for all of our products, including the railings.
Yeah, and to that, Ryan, a picture was just sent to me yesterday with our aluminum AL13 Plus, which is our residential and commercial. So it is rated for commercial applications. Someone put it on their home, and a massive tree, I think actually up in your region. It was up in Washington. A massive tree fell on the deck, and the aluminum railing saved the entire deck. The tree landed on the AL13 Plus, or aluminum commercial, and saved the entire deck. And that builder went out and looked at it. They have to obviously swap out a few panels, but the posts are still straight. The posts are straight, and the deck itself. And the homeowner's like, this is the only thing that saved us from redoing this massive deck. And so,
wood railing on that would have been chopsticks, right?
Yeah.
It would have just not even known it was there, and it would have gone right through it.
And those are the things that I think you can't really plan for, right? But it's you choose between different products. You may find a product that's cheaper. It may look very similar, right? Because from the design aesthetics. But are you taking a shortcut that things happen that you're not really aware of or you can't plan for? Be protected, right? Go with the brand, the company that is going to stand behind their product.
Yep.
Right? We innovate and we build, and we want it to last.
Yeah.
That's why we got into steel framing. Right?
Yeah.
All of our other products are built to last, and steel framing is that piece that was 98% still wood. Well, now we're changing that, right?
Yeah.
And you're seeing it. You can walk around this show. You do see alternative framing solutions a lot more than you saw last year.
I think in 5 years, if I'm going to make a prediction, and it's not because I'm sitting in your booth, I think wood framing is going to become the alternative.
Right.
Just because this makes so much more sense. Right?
We agree. We truly do. We spent about 7 years of really doing research on the product, traveling. I talk about international, so traveling to international markets, traveling throughout North America, and really getting feedback on how we make that system, mass appeal for that system. And so we've really put that work into it. And we do believe, like yourself, glad to have you in the Steel Nation camp there, that we truly believe it's a game changer for the industry and will become the norm in the not too distant future. So.
Absolutely.
That's important about that is, and Jeff alluded to it, like our team did a lot of work to build a system that allows contractors to build like they were with wood. And not only that, but every part and piece is Fortress, down to the screws, the brackets,
nice.
Every panel, right? Everything goes, the joists, everything goes together. It's all Fortress, and we have the complete system when it comes to the Evolution framing system. You don't have to get parts and pieces from other manufacturers to put it together. And we're going to warranty. We're going to stand by our product.
Yeah.
And we talk about ease of buying, right? Jeff talked about how easy it is to buy, right? Well, now you go and you buy everything from Fortress, from that framing. And it builds like wood. And actually, we talk about it builds quicker. Once you install a couple of them, people are actually installing it quicker than they would a wood frame. So
any contractor, if they're building that deck right, is spending hours getting that plane for all those deck joists matched right. I mean, how many people do you watch now on Instagram?
The challenge?
The level challenge that my buddy started, And
how many of them are at steel framing? Because it's going to be perfectly straight.
It's going to be, that's the easy button with steel framing. Otherwise, they're spending, hours of time, and which is either you're doing it as a homeowner, you're spending hours to do it, or paying someone to do it just to get it there. And that's where that makes the most sense, guys. It just really does. Well, man, thanks, guys. Thanks for taking the time today. This has been great. And I know our audience out there really appreciates learning more about steel stuff like this, because that's really the wave of the future. And anything that lasts longer saves them money in the long run. Kind of simple that way.
100%, yeah. And we appreciate you having us. And for all the listeners out there, reach us at fortressbp.com. We'll have local representatives. We can have our internal team, whether it be specifications. We can help you with that project. If you're thinking, how do I try steel framing, for example, let us help you on that journey, because it is. Don't be intimidated by it. Truly is. People think new products, I'm not sure, because the first time you do something new, usually it's like, this is what I see. I only notice what's different. But that second and third install, it's like, wow, this is great. You get to that third install, I get it. It is faster than wood. My tools aren't really different. I mean, I have a different saw, and that's it. Everything else is working the same. So,
amen. All right, guys, thanks for coming in, and can't wait till next year to see what you guys have coming out as well.
All right, have a great day.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, guys, thanks. And I'm Eric G., and you've been listening to Around the House.
Somewhere unseen and undiscovered, anywhere beyond the mean. Life is a love song, let's be lovers. We're all over the radio. Take my hand, I know where to go. All over the radio with you.
Hey, it's Eric G. from Around the House. Are you planning a decking or siding project this year? If you are, you've got to check out my friends at Millboard. Millboard is a completely different kind of composite decking and cladding that enhances outdoor spaces with enduring distinction. Hand-molded from the finest oak, it realistically mimics the natural grain and color of premium hardwood. If you're looking for something that doesn't look like plastic and instead real wood, check out millboard.com. Make sure and check out that interview we did just a few weeks back. That's millboard.com.